Hi, this is Professor Greta Kishba, and thank you for tuning into the podcast, Biz Dynamics Academy Leadership and Management Review, where we talk to local authors or local leadership experts on all topics from management of our HR employees all the way to anything in the educational sector. Since I'm a professor, I'd like to interview leaders and managers who can not only give me a better perspective of how to be better leaders, but can also share this information with students who are taking management, leadership, and business courses. Today, I am lucky to have Dorothy Patrick. She is an amazing woman. She's the CEO of SPARX International. That's SPARX. She is an amazing business consultant, leadership consultant, but a lot more than that. She helps organizations craft their vision, and this could be done by a series of different types of assessments or using leadership tools. But her overall goal is to be able to help, like I said, businesses, small and large, craft their organizational vision. So she's a rock star in my category. I really look up to her. I've known her for about 4 or 5 years right now. We've talked on and off. I'd like to have her in my life a little bit more often. I'll ask her about that later. But I think that what she has to offer right now is organizations that are not only in crisis, but maybe feeling just some uncertainty in moving forward, especially through the COVID pandemic and everything else that comes with that, how we treat employees, how we look at our business model. And she's just the person that is going to help us, lead us forward, give us some great ideas. That's what we're going to discuss today. So Dorothy, thank you for joining us. If you would like to say a couple of things, I would like to go ahead. Welcome.
Sure, welcome. And let me say the first thing is thank you. That was really a very nice, warm, wonderful welcome. And
well, you're pretty experienced and amazing woman. So.
Well, thank you. I put that in writing. No. So I really do appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you today, Greta, and your listeners as well, because I think the topic that you're hitting on and seeking insight into is one that is clearly very relevant, very important for the present and the future. And frankly, everyone's got an opinion about it. And that is really at this point in time an opinion because it is an incredibly fluid environment. And I know you're going to love this metaphor, this analogy there's models. There's all different kinds of business models, and there are all different theories that apply. And mine, because I'm not that smart, I kind of use the very simple one. It's an etch-a-sketch, right? So here it is, taking us back to the days gone by. We're all putting out there what we think our best way forward is based on previous practices, fluid in the very, very current time that we're living in now, where things are just not, there's no such thing as traction in this very moment in time. And I think that what that does, and the Etch-a-Sketches, everything old is new, and it's so innovative now, is exactly for that reason. Innovation is the name of the game. And the opportunity to take a very bad, very tragic, very incredibly disruptive situation, and I don't like using a lot of these buzzwords, but it is very applicable in this space. This has been disruption of the highest order on every level of the human experience, from a professional, personal, and otherwise. So we're now in a place where we're kind of like the Etch-a-Sketch has been shaken, and all of a sudden that screen is blank. And we have an amazing opportunity to choreograph, to repopulate, to redraw, to take an immense amount of talent that's out there. Let's look at where it is. It's in the millennium space, right? Because that is our future. That is the business community that we need to focus on, because it is the way forward, and all the subsequent behind them. And the boomers who have been here, done this, we have a lot of that anchorage of historical experience and depth and breadth and scope. Overlay that to the talent, and that Etch-a-Sketch, the picture that we start to create, becomes one that's fluid, but in a very progressive way that says, okay, here's where we are. It's changing. Okay, that line doesn't work. We can change it. We'll move it over here. Let's try something different. And the way we figure out how and what we do with it is to take the experience of the business leaders today, the senior leaders, and help to craft the vision of the target. Where are we going? Where's it doesn't have to be set in stone. It can be fluid. It should evolve, because we want to take all of the talent that's coming up into the industry, apply the template, the canvas that we've been crafted or given today to craft a new picture on, and give direction and say, okay, there's what we want to accomplish. You're the how. You get to figure out the way forward using your talent, using your skills, using the things that we as tenured leaders don't necessarily have the depth of experiencing that you do, and let us help you grow into that way. Does that make sense to you?
I think so, and I think for the students and the millennial students now, of course, I teach in the community college, so I have a lot of adults. And I think this gives the opportunity not just for the adults that are coming into my courses, but also then, like you said, the millennials, and then even the younger generation. Now they need to step into this leadership role, and I think that's what you're saying is no longer we're crafting new roles as we move forward. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And it's true, and the labeling and the different segmentations and the counter diversity that we're putting in place, where everybody needs a label to be identified, and I think we need to just kind of do away with that. We're talking about boomers, we're talking about millennials in terms of the ends of the barbell, but guess what? There's the bar in between the two of them, which a lot of other talent resides. There's new talent coming behind the millennials, and it's a compendium. I mean, this is what we call humankind. and to segregate them and say, okay, this is your label, work within that capacity. You know, that's your rev limiter. No, there is no limitation. You don't like that picture, shake the Etch-a-Sketch, draw a new one, try something different. And this is the greatest platform in which to do it.
I think it's a great time. So what can you say then for, let's say for then seasoned managers, seasoned leaders? Let's look at seasoned leaders in an organization. What kind of advice do you give for these folks?
I think one of the things leadership is, we are starving for leadership in this country, not only just in the business world, but leadership, good leadership. You know, followers, people are seeking that, and they will follow that strong leadership. So the first and foremost thing is as a tenured, seasoned, experienced leader, you focus on the thing that's most imperative, the foundation, and that is people. Okay, until the climate is such that people have reorganized and regrouped and kind of shook off the shell shock, if you will, of what they've been experiencing, it's going to take time for that to happen. So it will be very short-sighted to think that it's going to be business as usual. There's no such thing that's been obliterated. And I think that's fantastic because, I don't think we were doing things the way that we necessarily could have been doing them. That is an inclusive way that leverages and capitalizes on the multi-generational talent. And I think the senior leaders have an opportunity to model that, to lead the way by example, to say, whatever we've done, wherever we've been, that's great. It got us here. But what's going to get us over there, and that's what I, as a senior leader, want to share with you, is the vision, the picture of what we're crafting, of the direction. And then I want you, as this immense talent that you have, to come together and you guys help us figure out how do we do that. And just put aside a lot of the parameters of this is the box, Schrodinger's box. There is no box. And the sooner people get comfortable in that space, the whole idea of working remote, the whole idea of non-intact teams, that the fluidness of the environments and people we work with, that's powerful. That's awesome. That says to people, you have the latitude. We got your back. Here's the vision. We're going to keep reinforcing it to you. What are the resources that you need? How can we help you? And let's try it. Let's try different things.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, pretty non-orthodox. If you look at it, like, people are like, this is scandalous. How can you be talking like that? But I think the people that really understand business, they understand the world, they understand people, are going to realize if you try to get people back to business as usual, they're not going to have the process of grieving and the process of the human motions that they have to navigate. And we as senior leaders need to help them with that first and foremost. And they will unfold. It's like peeling back the onion all over again.
Okay, excellent. And my question to you too, one thing I've noticed in sitting on a bunch of these webinars for crisis management, I've been on a bunch of them, and I'm seeing a lack of interest in, I think this is the time right now, and tell me if I'm wrong, for everyone to be involved in risk management leadership. I don't know, how do you feel about that?
Risk management leadership,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more, what
I
in
meant
context
like,
to.
now it was always reserved just for the executives. So now how do
um,
we incorporate all of the feelings and the issues that everyone was affected by this? How do we incorporate that now into our new strategic leadership plans? Maybe that's the question I'm
Yeah,
asking.
okay, so that's a very good question, and begs to have more insight. So here's the thing, everyone's a leader. Everyone is a leader in an organization. So you have different hierarchies that are structurally bound, but the truly successful leaders understand that leadership comes from within. And the team, everyone on the team, everyone within the organization, whether they're working independently or otherwise, is a leader in their own way. And what we can do as senior leaders, with the positions that support this, is give them voices, give them the opportunity to weigh in, give them, make sure that we're understanding. We have to understand first and foremost how people relate, how they respond, how they engage, and allow them to do that. And it doesn't have to be so tightly choreographed. It doesn't have to be so tightly proceduralized or processed. Those things are the hierarchy of previous norm. And remember, we're talking about rewriting these things. So we don't know. I think the way we can best do it is allow that humanness, allow that engagement, allow the voices, give them the respect and the trust to fail forward and to fail quickly and to try different things, because that's the innovative time that this situation has created. It's given us as business leaders a chance to say, there's no rules right now. Gee, let's go out and play. Let's see what we can do.
Kind of hard to make any errors right now.
Yeah, it's really hard to be a screw up when it's so screwed up.
And we talk a lot about decision making, and we've talked about Brene Brown's, work, and I read the C-suite. I try to get my students to read The CEO Next Door, and this whole idea that, those that can make a decision, sometimes they're not the best, but those that can make it the quickest, are really, and I think that's what's going to happen. Things have speeded up
Yeah,
immensely. Like it's not going to take as long to get things done as
yeah,
it has, decisions made or strategic planning. I'm a firm believer in a 1-year strategic plan. So I
yeah,
remember I remember they were 20 years when organizations sat down and hired us to do like a 15 to 20-year strategic plan. I remember those days. That wasn't that long ago.
yeah. And time and place and relevance. And guess what? This ain't your daddy's, business anymore.
That's right.
The
That's
world
right.
has changed, and there's always been a subsection, a small section of the population that's the hot dot. They're innovators. They're the ones that are trying the new technology. They're front running everything. They're being, into the mass of the experience that may not be a perfect one, but they're also the ones that are coming out on top, that are the ones that are risk takers, and not frivolous risk takers, but risk takers where they're weighing in on what the options are, and it's okay to fail. And I think that's kind of the crux of what this is going to be built on. It's okay to fail. You can't
Yep.
fail can't fail permanently if you keep putting your foot in motion, you keep bringing in new ideas, you keep trying different things, and you stay true to the vision, the target. We put that in the middle of the table and say, this is our collective collaborative goal. Have at it and tell me what you need. Who do you need? Where the communication is happening. Communication is paramount, top down, bottom up, all around, inside out, customers. Everyone that's a part of this experience has to have some sort of voice in that process. And how and where do they get that? From the players and the team within. So they know who they need to talk to. They know when and where and how they need to engage them in their various respective participation and contribution areas of what they do, reaching toward that goal. So not telling them how to do it, but telling them, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here are the who are the stakeholders? You tell us. We know some of them, but who else? And letting that experience kind of organically unfold. It takes a lot of courage to be a leader. You've got to risk. You've got to risk people really screwing up, but our responsibility is to provide that communication and clarity and reinforce it, top down, bottom up, continually.
Yep, and I believe a bunch of organizations that maybe weren't really, comfortable with having tough conversations are feeling like they can't lose. There's no losing now.
But I mean, here's the thing also, Greta, people are awesome. People are resilient. People are fantastic when they are put up against the gate to say, we have perspective. We have an amazing opportunity to lend our perspective to people that need it most now, because they can do amazing things when they know and they're empowered and they're reminded that you can do amazing things. So we can choose, and this is all about, I think, very much about choice. We can choose to lament and stay where we've been and what's happened that has been utterly and very disarmingly out of our control, which has been the biggest challenge, I think, with all of this, aside from the obvious, aspects of the pandemic. But the biggest challenge in the human aspect is that we have no control of this. But if we're giving back that control to people and empowering them and believing and trusting them, giving them resources and latitude and communication and setting that goal, which is what, by the way, senior leaders need to be doing now before the workplace floods open. When the workplace floods open again, we as senior leaders need to be focusing on the people, the human element of them, and letting them come back into the space I've just been intimating. Prior to that happening, we need already, as a collaborative of senior leaders in an organization, to have already begun to structure and craft what is the vision, where do we need to go? And that's where your business things are going to come in, like profits and earnings and all of the aspects that are structural, fundamental to running a successful business that don't necessarily have to do with the human element. So we get that set out, that's part of creating that vision and that goal. It all backs up and into it. And then we bring to the table when people are back into the workplace and we say, okay, let's focus on you now. And let's do that empower, and let's reinforce the fact that, you guys have so much talent, and we can choose to be where we were, or we can look at this and say, the Etch-a-Sketch is blank. I need you guys to start drawing, right?
You can always shake it back up again.
And that's a very powerful statement. And saying that is exactly that. It's okay to fail. We'll try something different, because we're already in such a disruptive space that it's not like we're going to break anything.
Right. With my kids' toys everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything, and Legos, the Legos and the Jenga and all that stuff. We spent a lot of time during this homeschooling adventure playing with building blocks.
Exactly.
Build them up, and what's the worst that you can do? You take them down and rebuild them again. Well, Dorothy, this has been great. Why don't you tell me how people can get a hold of you if they want to talk to you or learn a little bit more about what you have to offer. Where do they find you?
Sure, thank you. So I'm a big LinkedIn person. All my information is out there. I'm very active on LinkedIn because I think it's an immense portal and resource of connectivity and communication in the business community. My contact information is on there. It's Dorothy at SPARXInternational.com for my email. SPARXInternational.com website has a bunch of information about my company, and my phone number is on there too. So if anybody wants to reach out and contact me directly, I'm very open and welcoming of having dialogue with people to help them.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your insight. And what I'll do is bring you back in a couple of months when everybody does start getting back to the workforce. Let's see what happens. Let's hope that some of these ideas and maybe get put into place. And we have a I don't want to say a mind shift. Everybody keeps saying that, but maybe a shift more toward, like you had mentioned, staying on track with the vision, but allowing those voices to be heard. Very powerful. Thank you.
Thanks, Greta, and stay well. And I look forward to I just look forward to the future. I'm very optimistic, and I think that we have a lot that we can do together.
I think so too. Thanks, Dorothy.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. In the description of each podcast, we have information on our guests and their websites and their contact information. If you want to learn more about what they do in their business, go ahead and reach out to them. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you next time.